Hey guys, I'm Praveen. You may call me PK, and we are going to look on the abstract window toolkit today, which is also called as AWT. We are going to do a few tutorials based on AWT, just more practical stuff. We are not going to look into much of the theory about this, but we'll look more on to how we are supposed to implement everything. And I'm gonna be using Intellij idea for this purpose. You can use whatever you want, like whatever Java platform. You just need to get a JDK installed for this one. So once you have all those set up, and I believe you have some prerequisite knowledge, I'm not gonna start everything from scratch, but I'm going to do everything about AWT from scratch. And we'll start with a new window, control A. Yeah, so before that, we would need to get a little understanding of what AWT actually means. So I have provided a PDF, which is Answer My Mam's PDF, if you get that reference, in a link in the description below, so you will understand what this actually means. You can download it from there, and if you have downloaded it, let's get started with it. Right, so abstract window toolkit is, we have the definition out here, but let's just be realistic. So it's nothing more than a graphical user interface so that we can deal with applications in an easier manner. Let's just take the example of this window. It had this minimize option, close option, and maximize option. If it was not like that, let's say if all the applications that we use was more like a terminal, we had to type in all the commands so that we have to get actions to be performed, then it would have been very difficult. So instead of that, we are giving a very easy interface, like an application which has a frame that is outside this and the window out there, which is easier to deal with. So we are abstracting the user from the difficult details, which is exactly why it is called as abstract window toolkit. And it is from this package java.awt. Java.awt package. We have to import it first, and it has got a lot of components within it. The main class is object class, and within that we have a lot of components, which is button, label, checkbox, choice, list, and container. Right, it's, if you are familiar with HTML, then you will know these things in advance. If you don't know, we are just going to create a frame. We are just going to create a window and add these components to it, which is very necessary. Out of these, the most important one is container, because it can contain other components. If you go to any website that you actually know, like let's go to Google, and we all have to be secure these days, don't we? So we go to Google, go to tools, more tools, and take developer tools. Then we'll have a lot of div tags out here. This is the source code of this. We'll see a lot of div tags. These div tags are all containers. Within these div tags, we can have other components within it. So within a div tag, there are a lot of other div tags. So while we are creating applications, we will convert it into divisions, which are containers, and put other components within it, which is a professional way of building applications, which provides us with more modularity. And if you want to work on stuff individually, it's easier. Yeah, that term stuff. Okay, right, thanks. Okay, I'm not much into stuff. All right, so we have these functions. We'll get to that later. We have these functions. We'll work on that. Okay, container class has some main there are some main containers that we are going to be working on. For now, we are going to focus on frame and all, which is very important in the university point of view. So I'll tell you what these three things are: panel, window, and frame. So this is frame, the outside part, the border, it is called as frame, where we have minimize, maximize, and close button. The part inside it is called as window, the white portion. And panel, if we divide it into other sections, divide the whole white portion into different sections, they can be called as panels. I can give you a quick look at how it is going to look like for some professional applications. Yeah, this is how it's going to look like. Within a frame, we have a panel. Probably we have divs, like within a frame there would be a div, within that there would be a panel, and within that panel there would be another division. Then after that there will be a button. There will be a lot of such complicated stuff. You are looking onto professional platforms. And these are the methods we will be using very often in almost all the applications that we are going to create, which is add component, set size, set layout, and set visible. So there are basically two ways to create frame, and we'll get to coding. All right, let's start from scratch. We're going to create a class. Okay, right. Let's say AWT. Since our program name is AWT, then have to make it AWT. So we have main class. We are going to create a constructor of AWT. And within that constructor, we are going to define a few functions. So there are two ways to create a frame, either by extending the frame class or by creating an object of a frame within it. So the one that is easier and which is more powerful is obviously by extending the frame class, but we will do it second. First, we will go with the other one. So we are going to create an object of frame F. I'm not used to this keyboard because I've been working on a bigger keyboard, so this is kind of messing around me. So we create an object of a new frame. You have to follow the conventions. I'm not using the capital letters now, but you know, when you do it, you have to follow the conventions. So we created a frame and we are going to give a size to it, set size, which is something we have to give in all our applications, one of the programs, which is going to decide the size of our frame. If you don't do it, you know, I'll show you what is possibly going to happen. And we are going to make our frame visible. For that, we have to use this function called as set visible and set the value true to it. So now our frame is visible. It has got a particular size. Now let's add a particular component to it. Let's just see what is going to happen at this point. Let's see if something comes up. All right, let's go. Okay, before that, we have to make an instance of our class AWT. Let's say a equals new. So when we created the class, it will automatically call everything in the constructor. When we instantiated it, let's see what happens. Let's check it out. And right, we have a frame which has got width 500 and height 500. And if we comment this portion out and run the program again, we can see approximately nothing. So these functions are very necessary. If we comment this one, we won't be able to see our frame. So all those functions are very necessary. We have to include it every time. And there is another function called a set layout. We will get to that. Before that, we can add a component to it. All right, let's add a button to our frame. Button p1 equals new button. Okay, let's and within that button we'll give a label. Okay, this would be a label to the button. This is what the button is gonna, like the name of the button. Let's say click me. All right, and after that we have to add it to our frame. That can be done. Can be done by using. I think I can't brush my teeth today. So P1. All right, that should do it. Let's give a color to it. That can be done by using foreground color for the text and background color for the button. Let's say b1 dot set background color. Let's give a background color to it. Maybe nope, we don't need this. Blue. All right, then let's run it again. Okay, we got a big button which is covering our whole frame, which is not exactly how we wanted it to be, but it is like this. The application is running, we got click me in it, but you know, something is actually wrong out here, because we can actually close this application, as well as the button is covering the whole application, which is not how it was supposed to be. So we need to make some changes to add this close as well as make it more in a more of a systematic manner, as we won't have any control to it. So let's add those things. This is where layout manager comes to play. I told you that frame can be constructed by using two methods, and one is this method which I told you now, and we'll go to the second method which is easier to implement, and we'll be working on that method for the rest of the video. Extends. Okay, so we extended frame. Now we don't need this. We need to create an instance of it because we are already extending it, and this is pointless. This F. Right, this should kind of give you the same output as before. Now we are going to add another function which is called as layout manager, which is done by this function called as set layout. So we have different kinds of layouts. If you look onto the PDF, it is given well here. So this is set layout, and inside that we have to create an object of layout manager, give an object of layout manager. Right, so we have different kinds of layout in AWT, which includes flow layout, grid layout, border layout, and card layout. Each has its own advantages and disadvantages. We will be focusing on flow layout and grid layout, and border layout and card layout are kind of the same thing. If you look onto it, it's the implementation is same, but it has got its own features. So let's check these layouts out. Okay, so it can be done. Let's add a few more buttons to us, make it a little more beautiful. Let's say we have 6 buttons. Right, let's make it different. B2, B3, B4, B5, okay, B5 and B6. Now we have 6 buttons and we need to add all these buttons. Now we have 6 of them. Let's change it. The variable names, and there we go, we have it. It should work. So as to make all these buttons a little different, we can give a different background color to each button. That can be done by using the same function, and if you have to change the color of the text, you can use set foreground color. So let's give a different background color. Right, now how many do we have? Yeah, we have 6. B2, B3, B4, B5 and B6. We're gonna give red. Gonna use black, so gray, okay, green, and depending on the autocorrect, pink, little girly, right? Okay, and one more orange. Right, now we have 6 colors. Let's see what happens. Okay, we have got some errors around. Okay, we didn't put the bracket. That should do. Okay, we got another error. Yeah, okay, we didn't give a layout. First we'll comment it out. Let's see what happens without the layout, and we'll give a layout after that. Now we can only see one button which is of yellow color, which has to be the 4th button. So something is actually not right. The buttons are not positioned well. That's because we don't have a layout. So now let's give a layout to it. Let's uncomment it and give a layout as flow layout. Let's try out flow layout. Okay, now let's run it. That's pretty much how we need it, right? We have all the buttons which is visible and it looks good. It's better, much better. And let's try out grid layout. So flow layout, what flow layout basically does is it it takes up it covers in everything that we can possibly cover in a single row. All right, so meanwhile grid layout divides it into row and columns. If we try it out, then you'll get to know about it better. So grid layout, it has got a we can give parameters to it, that is let's say 2 and 3 number of rows and columns. So the buttons would be covering the whole window, right? We have 2 rows and 3 columns which we give it as constructors, and we can change it. We can 3 and 2. That will give you how you want it. It is a little more aesthetic and it's very clickable. It looks like a DJ panel or a xylophone, if you call it. Right, that's pretty much how we need it, but I'm gonna be using flow layout for the rest of the program because that's how we need it for now. But you can try out the rest of the layout, which is interesting. It's kind of the same, but it has got its own advantages. Right, let's take out flow layout now. But still you have noticed that our close button is not working. For that to work, we need to add some functions to it. We need to make these buttons call some functions. That's where our next, or probably the most important part of the program comes into play, which is AWT event. So an AWT event can be considered, let's relate it to something real life. For example, if a guy, let's say an event was a guy going into a hospital and getting himself examined with coronavirus. If he has corona, then that's an event. Let's call it an event. And when an event happens, we have we have 2 kinds of events. Okay, we'll get to that. It has to be handled, right? If that guy is examined with coronavirus and he has a positive case, then it has to be handled by the people who are in charge of it. He has to be quarantined. All the process has to be taken care of, else it would be a disaster. We'll all be affected by this virus by now if it was not handled properly. Similarly, in this case as well, when an event happens, like clicking a button is an event, it has to be handled by some functions. So we have Java gives us a delegation event model which has got 3 components: events, event sources, and event listeners. Event sources are the components that we actually give, like the buttons, the labels, and we'll get to the rest of them, like checkboxes. Everything are event sources. Events are the process in which we click a button, check a checkbox. Those are all called events. And event listeners are the listeners which are notified when the event has already occurred and it will trigger some kind of action. 2 kinds of events: background events, which doesn't have user action, which happens within our operating system, and foreground events are probably most of them like the input output actions, like mouse click, entering a character. So let's try working on some events. Probably the first thing we could actually do, the mouse wheel event is generated when the mouse wheel is moved. We'll try to fix that close problem. We had actually a problem while closing our windows, right? Where is our window? Yeah, we can't actually close it. Let's give an event to this close button. That can be done by an interface called as window listener. Okay, so implements window listener. It is giving me something is wrong here. It is giving me a red line which tells me that we have to make some changes, which is obviously because window listener is an interface, and when we implement in listeners, we have to implement all the methods which is within it. So let's implement all the methods. All right, it has these many methods in it. So as we implement all the methods, we can see a lot of methods out here, like which is window open, window closing, window close, window iconified, de-iconified, activated and deactivated, which are almost pretty self-explanatory. But the thing is, we don't need most of these events. We just need one event to fix our problem, which is window closing. It can be done by two methods. So we just have to give a of action which would happen when we close the window. So that can be done by two ways. System.exit, and we give 0 to it, and we run the program. That should fix our problem. So we have it, the moment of truth. Let's click it, and okay, it, oh right, I made a little mistake. So before giving that, we have to add it. All right, we have to add a listener for the frame. So the frame has to know that a listener is there. So we have it, add window listener, and we have to give an object into it. Since Windows listener is implemented by the same class, we can give this. This should work. Okay, right, and yeah, it worked. But I prefer you don't use this method as well as implementing Windows listener, because we are not using any of these functions except for one function. So what's the point of implementing the rest of the functions? That's where our next method comes into play, which is called as by using window adapter class. So we can get rid of all these methods except for Windows closing. Right, window open is also not necessary. Okay, so we just need this one, right? Let's extend Windows adapter class, which is not possible because we are already extending frame. So we are going to use an anonymous class. Let's cut it. Let's take this off as well, which we don't need now. Now this becomes red because we don't have any window listener now, and this is not implementing our Windows listener. Okay, so add Windows listener. Now we are going to create an anonymous class which is called as window adapter. It lets us choose which all methods that we actually want to implement. Now we just need only one method, which is called as window closing, and we'll implement it. Right, and we can just give our method. We can give system.exit, which will definitely work. But now we need something else, which is a better method for closing these things, because when you use system.exit, it abruptly closed the whole window. It's better to use another method by using a dispose method. I'll tell you how it's done. F1 okay equals new. No, not that one. So I'll explain it at the end. So e dot get sender. Yes, let's see if it works. And yes, it works. So it's better to use this method even though there are two statements. So what we did was we created a variable of type frame, and then we initialized it with a value which is the source of our main class, which is this one. So we took its source and initialized it as a frame here in this variable and disposed it by using this dispose method. And we will probably be using this method for all our programs. So that's pretty much how we do that, and I prefer you use extends method. And if you want to extend other classes, you can use an anonymous class. So that's pretty much few of the basics, and now let's get on to something a little more advanced. Like, let's try working out some problems. Okay, for example, in your university there was a question asked, like if the user wants to enter to user wants to make a calculator by using applications like when we have the user can enter two integer values and we'll give you an output after making a calculation like addition, subtraction or multiplication when a button is being pressed. Now we have two buttons out here, we don't need the rest of the buttons, so we are going to take them out and let's try to implement that calculator. Here we can say it's product, let's say sum, and here we can check for division. Let's have two buttons for now, and we have two we don't need these anymore. Okay, that's pretty much that we need for now. So the user has to input some text that can be done by our next command, which is called as text field. Oh, oops. Okay, caps lock. Text field t1 equals text field, and let's give a label to it. Let's say number 1. Let's create one more like that. No, let's create two more because we'll need to print the result as well, right? So this would be t2 and the other one would be t3. This is number 2 and here we have number 3. We have 3 text fields. Now we'll have to add it into a frame, and by add component t1 add t2 t3. So you have to follow the conventions. This has to be in a capital letter, but I'm sorry. Yeah, right. So we have the text fields as well as our buttons here. Okay, we have to keep it, these two text fields are supposed to be before the buttons. Cut, and let's paste here, delete, and right, number 1, number 2, and it's not number 3. We have to print the result here, LD, right? Okay, let's see. We have number 1, number 2, and number 3. Let's give a number like and when you click on this, nothing actually happens because we haven't given a function to it. So let's give a function to it. Let's add a listener to it when the button is clicked. It's similar to how we did window listener by using something called as action listener. Since it can be extended, but for now, or implemented, now we are using we'll use a anonymous class, which is the easier way to do it. So let's say b1 dot add action listener, and we create an anonymous class there, and we have a function called as action perform, which has to be implemented, and we have an action event e. Now let's give the event. Let's give what happens when that button is pressed. Now it is for sum, so let's extract the contents of our text field first. That can be done by using, okay, let's create an integer a equals I'll explain this once I'm done. Dot percent t1 dot get text. Okay, so what we actually did was this is a text box, not an integer or text field. So we get the text from it, convert it in by using this method called as parseInt, and store it into this variable a. Since we have to perform mathematical operations, we have to convert it into an integer, obviously, otherwise it won't work. And we're going to use B, and that would be from T2. Now after we get both of them, we can print it right into text field 3 when the button is pressed. That can be done by using T3 dot set text. Now we have an integer out here. The sum of it would also be an integer. We have to convert it into a string. So we can use the function string dot value of, which would convert an integer into a string. That would be A plus B. That will actually solve our problem here. And we can add a action listener for our button B2 as well. B2 dot add action listener, action listener. So we can give an, okay, since we are using a division here, we'll have to make it double, not integer. So double 1 equals, okay, no, parse double 1 dot. Right, for integers we use the function integer dot parseInt, and for double we use double dot parse double. We're gonna use T2, right? T2 dot get text. Let's make one more variable for convenience. Double T3 equals T1 by T2, and let's print it out in our next text field, which is T3 dot set text string dot value of D3. Okay, that has both of our functions here. We added both the buttons. I think it should work. Fingers crossed. Let's see what happens. Alright, then we have 3 numbers. Let's see. Number 1, number 2, we got 37, 30. Take the sum. It works. Let's take it out. 48. That works. Let's say 56. Divided, you get the answer. So it pretty much works. So we can implement all of the functions that you need. All other, sum and division. Other than that, product is there, which you have to follow the same procedure. And if you are asked such a question in university examinations, you can do it that way.